Christian Union patrons and associates training is also very important. If we are going to help the young people themselves, I think it will be also important to help their patron, the Christian Union patron. Remember, he may have gotten saved even after high school. Himself, he has never been a member of the Christian Union. And then the headmaster asked him to become the patron. How will he help? I think it's anybody interested in the future of the Christian Union should really go out of his way to organize training for people that are helping the students. Now, this is not what you call peer counseling. This is adult counseling. Somebody who knows to counsel the one who doesn't. But then you must help the person first before you ask him to go to them. So just like we have a training syllabus for the student leaders, you also need a syllabus for the associates and patrons that can actually help them. And I think that will be important. Why are you doing this? You want them because some of these patrons will go to a school that does not have a Christian union. Why don't you help them to know how to organize a Christian union with the objectives of the Christian union? So I think it will be important that the patron knows, why does the CU exist? Why is it critical that there should be a Christian union in a school? The patron needs to know. Even if he has come and found one running, why would he not want it to die? And I think that will be very, very important. He needs to understand it's a responsibility of the CU to help the students to grow in their faith, and therefore he should be a facilitator in that process. And of course, he also needs to know that he's not supposed to lead the Christian Union. He's supposed to operate from behind it, assisting from behind the leadership of the CU. It's because he has an objective of ensuring that the student who leaves high school in Form 4 is already a trained leader, and that can only happen when he doesn't take over, but rather assist and facilitate the student to know. And he's also supposed to know that we do not want the students to feel so comfortable in the Christian Union they forget the value of being members of churches. And so he needs to help them to understand that. But he needs them to understand the fact that the church is not one denomination. So the students need to know that they don't have to belong to the church of the CU patron. But they also need to understand what is it that marks a cult, so that you tell somebody the church is okay as long as it's not a cult. What's a cult? All that is a part of the reason why you are training this associate or this patron, that they can belong to their churches and they become helpful. Remember, they are at least quarter of the year they are at home in their churches. You need to be able to, the patron needs to get them to understand that they must not be aloof. They must be getting involved. And I think that will be important. Of course, the patron also needs to know that there are groups that exist, that Kenya Student Christian Fellowship has groups. They are called teams, KSCF teams, that operate within an area. And as a patron, instead of working as a lonely person, you should become a member of the team, so that he's also able to learn from other patrons and other associates the things that are happening in other schools that could be of help. And of course, in the process, he might also be able to help another school that has no patron. And that could be something that would help in a big way. So it's important to understand that if we are making a syllabus for what you need to cover with the patrons, what are we saying so far? They must understand this KSF ministry. What does the KSF do? Why the KSF team? What's the history of KSF? What the philosophy of ministry of KSF, Kenya Student Christian Fellowship, I think that will be important. They also must know something about evangelism, because if they are going to teach students, one of the objectives is to reach out to the non-Christian students. How do they help the students if they themselves don't even understand what evangelism is all about and how it can be done? I think it's also important that you teach them about the importance of fellowship and why people are not encouraged to be lone rangers, that it's important that they be in fellowships and in groups. Whether you are an adult, patron, or you are a student, that needs to be very well explained. And then, of course, there's a whole issue about discipleship. He needs to understand about the spiritual disciplines, so that when he understands them and practices them, those are the spiritual disciplines he is also going to teach the students. And it will be important that they are all done, and that they help. These discipleship disciplines will help every student after he has understood, practiced, and is actually sharing his testimony and teaching them and encouraging them. Then, of course, we have said he needs to understand leadership theory and leadership practice, so that he can train them in that area. And of course, he needs to understand about mission and outreach, and how the students can get involved in it, and how it will help if the students get involved. And that will be certainly very very helpful. And each of them has a role that will be important to deal with. So, but in addition to that, the syllabus must include things like, how do you prepare a sermon? Things by how do you interpret the Bible? I think that's what theologians call homiletics, for how you present the message, hermeneutics, for how you interpret the Bible. And I think it will be important for the patron to understand. That way he can also teach a student when they are misinterpreting the Bible, because they understand the rules of biblical interpretation. And I think that will be something that is critical to talk about. However, if you are talking about associates, you may need to put a subject about the issues of sex and sexual purity. Of course, sexual purity starts with himself, and then he needs to be able to teach the students, because at around teenage, which is the age for high school students, the sex drive may be super active. How do you assist the students to know how to manage that urge and live to honor and glorify God? I think so. You need a topic like sexual purity that is being addressed to the patrons and associates, so that they can be of assistance to the teachers. I think you also need to teach them time management, because some of them feel like they are so busy in their work, marking, teaching. How do they add one more item, and how does it fit into their program? And remember, they may also be married. There are women who are married and they are looking after their families. I think it will be important that you teach them a bit of time management and how they can create time to help the students without necessarily messing up in any one of the areas where they have a responsibility, and God expects them to play their role well in any one of those responsibilities. So the whole issue about time management will be something that is critical, and you can help a student. But I think the other thing that you must teach the staff is about the whole issue of professionalism, Because, if they are not good teachers themselves, it will be difficult for the students to respect them, and it will be difficult for them to play the role of a good patron when in the actual job in the class, he is seen as a lazy teacher. So we need a topic somewhere that can help the student, the teacher, to understand that serving God is not just when you are in the pulpit or in the Christian Union. That how you teach, according to Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, you are not working for humans, you are working for God. Although what you are doing is not necessarily to benefit God directly, it's benefiting his people, but he takes it as serving him. And it will be important that the patrons are taught that aspect, that professionalism is still a way of serving God, and they need to be able to do it if they are going to make an impact in that school. And then there's a whole issue about how to show respect to people without necessarily going their way, creating boundaries, because the patron must learn how to respect the headmaster and the board without necessarily changing from his mission. And that needs to be understood, and not just understood but practiced, because that will be something that will be important for people to do. So whatever the topic you pick to teach on and to help the students on, I think you also need to help the teacher to understand how he can organize ATDs. How do you organize LTDs, leadership training for students? How do you organize it? What would be do you need to talk to him about the syllabus for leadership training among students, and how to implement the syllabus, how to prepare the syllabus, how to be equipped in order to deliver the material in the syllabus, who you can invite to assist you in that exercise. All of that will be something that needs to be done, and it will actually help. But I think one more thing that may need to be dealt with as you deal with this issue of a training program for patrons and associates, I think it's how to deal with the sponsoring church. The Christian Union includes all students from every denomination, but there's a particular church that sponsors that particular school. How does the CU relate with that sponsoring church? How do they operate so that the sponsoring church does not feel ignored, and the CU members do not feel like they are being forced to become members to leave their church to join a new church? How do you operate? And that's a matter that needs to be dealt with, and dealt with in such a way that there will be peace within the school. Just like how you deal with the board and how you deal with the headmaster with respect. I think that will be something that is important. So you can see clearly, we need a training syllabus for student leaders, but you also need a training syllabus for associates. My recommendation would be that this is not for the current patron. It should be for all Christian teachers, because one is here today, another one is appointed tomorrow. Since it's not a secret, why can't every teacher learn? And in the process, you'll be talking to them about how a teacher can get involved beyond his academic subjects that he is teaching. How can you get involved in the spiritual welfare of the school? And so that topic then would be appropriate for everybody. And then that included in that syllabus should be people who normally are interested in student ministry and visit schools. That's the one we are calling associates. It will be important that somebody talks to them training is important.